Hello, hello and welcome. I'm Poetic Heretic. Today we will be looking at the subject of Area 51. So as usual, I need just a minute or two to get things set up, and then we'll dive right into it, into this mysterious subject that has been receiving a lot of attention as of late. So how do we sound? We sound good. So yes, we'll be diving in to the subject, researching it live on stream, discussing it live on stream, and hopefully finding out some fascinating information.
Frank's Red Hot.
That was an advertisement. Getting ready to Naruto run, because today I am talking about Area 51 so much. No, I should say today we are talking about Area 51. Okay. Give me just a bit longer here. Almost done setting it all up. Okay, that tweet looks good. And all right, here we go. So yes, we're going to be diving into the subject of Area 51 today, something a little different. We're going to research it or sort of investigate it the way that we do other topics on this channel in more recent times anyway. When it comes to my live streams, we're going to look stuff up on it live on air. I'll give my thoughts on it as we go. Hopefully we'll get people here typing in the chat and giving their thoughts on it as well. And we can have maybe a bit of a discussion of this subject. I don't know what to think exactly of this whole storm Area 51 thing, but obviously that's part of why we are doing this stream right now. I do not advise anyone to go to Area 51. In fact, I advise that people stay far away from that. But I mean, if you insist on putting yourself in danger, I guess I can't stop you. But instead, what I would like to do here today is see what we can find out from afar about Area 51. Admittedly, probably not very much, but it should still make, hopefully, for an interesting discussion, something educational. I know a lot of people look at stuff like this as entertainment, and that is fine. But hopefully, I guess this will be some kind of a mix between like education and entertainment, what we're about to dive into today. So I feel a little bit exhausted today. So hopefully I'm able to relax and focus properly. But that said, I'm going to take a sip of water and then we shall begin. So there's no need for me to give any kind of summary of Area 51 because literally everyone knows what it is now. I mean, I guess people probably knew what it was before, but now everyone really knows what it is. So let's just, yes, like any other topic that we look into, we'll start with a simple internet search and see where that takes us. Also, I'm going to adjust the air conditioning a little bit. All right. Let's start with the Wikipedia entry on Area 51. Give us maybe a nice little overview. Then we'll start getting into maybe some of the sort of juicy news articles. That should be fun. Hey there, Shendi. Welcome to the chat. All right, Area 51. Area 51 is the common name of a highly classified United States Air Force USAF facility located within the Nevada Test and Training Range. Officially, the facility is called Homey Airport, KXTA, or Groom Lake, named after the salt flats situated next to its airfield. Although details of the facility's operations are not publicly known, the USAF says it is an open training range, and it most likely supports the development and testing of experimental aircraft and weapon systems based on historical evidence. The USAF acquired the site in 1955, primarily for flight testing the Lockheed U-2 aircraft. Let's see. Summary: airport type, military installation, owner, U.S. federal government, operator, United States Air Force, location, Lincoln County, Nevada, elevation, 4,462 feet / 1,360 miles, I guess, or meters. Fuck, I don't know. I swear, sometimes I have moments where I'm just like, I don't know things that I should know. Coordinates, 3714 north, 115 4830 west. Let's see what else we have here. The intense secrecy surrounding the base has made it the frequent subject of conspiracy theories and a central component to unidentified flying object, or UFO, folklore. The base has never been declared a secret base, but all research and occurrences in Area 51 are top secret / sensitive compartmented information, TS/SCI. The CIA publicly acknowledged the existence of the base for the first time on 25th June 2013, following a Freedom of Information Act (FOIA) request filed in 2005, and they declassified documents detailing the history and purpose of Area 51. Area 51 is located in the southern portion of Nevada on the western United States, 83 miles, 134 kilometers north-northwest of Las Vegas. The surrounding area is a popular tourist destination, including the small town of Raquel on the extraterrestrial highway. Or is it pronounced Rachel? I don't know. Rachel. Geography. The original rectangular base of 6 by 10 miles, 9.7 by 16.1 kilometers, is now part of the so-called Groom Box, a rectangular area measuring 23 by 25 miles, 37 by 40 kilometers of restricted airspace. The area is connected to the internal Nevada Test Site, NTS, road network, with paved roads leading south to Mercury and west to Yucca Flat. Leading northwest from the lake, the wide and well-maintained Groom Lake Road runs through a pass in the jumbled hills. The road formerly led to mines in the Groom Basin. Where's that basin? But has been improved since their closure. Its winding course runs past a security checkpoint, but the restricted area around the base extends farther east. After leaving the restricted area, Groom Lake Road descends eastward to the floor of the Tikaboo Valley, passing the dirt road entrances to several small ranches, before converging with State Route 375, the extraterrestrial highway south of Raquel. Area 51 shares a border with the Yucca Flat region of the Nevada Test Site. the location of 739 of the 928 nuclear tests conducted by the United States Department of Energy at NTS. The Yucca Mountain Nuclear Waste Repository is 44 miles, 71 kilometers southwest of Groom Lake. Groom Lake. Groom Lake is a salt flat in Nevada used for runways of the Nellis Bombing Range Test Site Airport, KXTA, on the north of the Area 51 USAF military installation. The lake, at 4,409 feet, 1,344 meters, fuck my life, I don't know. Elevation is approximately 3.7 miles, 6 kilometers, from north to south, and 3 miles, 4.8 kilometers, from east to west at its widest point. Located within the namesake Groom Lake Valley portion of the Tonopah Basin, the lake is 25 miles, 40 kilometers south of Raquel, Nevada. History. The origin of the name Area 51 is unclear. It is believed to be from an Atomic Energy Commission (AEC) numbering grid, although Area 51 is not part of this system. It is adjacent to Area 15. Another explanation is that 51 was used because it was unlikely that the AEC would use the number. According to the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, the correct names for the facility are Homey Airport, KXTA, and Groom Lake, though the name Area 51 was used in a CIA document from the Vietnam War. The facility has also been referred to as Dreamland and Paradise Ranch, among other nicknames. The USAF Public Relations has referred to the facility as, quote, an operating location near Groom Dry Lake, end quote. The special use airspace around the field is referred to as Restricted Area 4808 North, R 4808N. Lead and silver were discovered in the southern part of the Groom Range in 1864, and the English company Groom Lead Mines Limited financed the Conception mines in the 1870s, giving the district its name. Nearby mines included Maria, Willow, and White Lake. J.B. Osborne and partners acquired the interests in Groom in 1876, and his son acquired the interests in the 1890s. Mining continued until 1918, then resumed after World War II until the early 1950s. The airfield on the Groom Lake site began service in 1942 as Indian Springs Air Force Auxiliary Field and consisted of 2 unpaved 5,000-foot runways at 371635 North by 1154520 West. U-2 program. The Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, established the Groom Lake Test Facility in April 1955 for Project Aquatone, the development of the Lockheed U-2 strategic reconnaissance aircraft. Project Director Richard M. Bissell, Jr. understood that the flight test and pilot training programs could not be conducted at Edwards Air Force Base or Lockheed's Palmdale facility, given the extreme secrecy surrounding the project. He conducted a search for a suitable testing site for the U-2 under the same extreme security as the rest of the project. He notified Lockheed, who sent an inspection team out to Groom Lake. According to Lockheed's U-2 designer Kelly Johnson, quote, "We flew over it and within 30 seconds you knew that was the place. It was right by a dry lake. Man alive, we looked at that lake, and we all looked at each other. It was another Edwards, so we wheeled around, landed on that lake, taxied up to one end of it. It was a perfect natural landing field, as smooth as a billiard table without anything being done to it," end quote. I'm gonna adjust my air conditioning a bit further. I think the cold water I'm drinking is keeping me cool enough for the most part. The lake bed made an ideal strip for testing aircraft, and the Emigrant Valley's mountain ranges and the NTS perimeter protected the site from visitors, about 100 miles, 160 kilometers north of Las Vegas. The CIA asked the AEC to acquire the land, designated Area 51 on the map, and to add it to the Nevada test site. It is kind of weird, as they're talking about here, the name Area 51, just where did they get that, It's like, does that imply that there are 50 other areas, 50 or more other areas, like maybe I don't want to go to Area 51. Since I'm kind of OCD and very obsessed with doing things in a perfect sequential systematic order, like I first want to go to Area 1 before, and then work my way up to Area 51. But here we just have Area 51. Well, is there an Area 61, 71? An Area 0, perhaps? I don't know. Johnson named the area Paradise Ranch to encourage workers to move to, quote, the new facility in the middle of nowhere, end quote, as the CIA later described it, and the name became shortened to The Ranch. On 4th May 1955, a survey team arrived at Groom Lake and laid out a 5,000-foot, 1,500... fuck my life, whatever that says, or is supposed to say, north-south runway on the southwest corner of the lake bed, designated a site for a base support facility. See, this is the thing that happens when I'm doing a live broadcast and I'm in the heat of the moment. Things that normally would be obvious to me are not obvious to me because I know that I'm like on the spot. And so, yeah, there can be those kinds of faux pas or whatever, but I guess we'll try to avoid that. Let's see. Hey there, Damon. What if areas 0 through 50 are below Area 51? I mean, that could be. That could be, for all we know. The ranch initially consisted of little more than a few shelters, workshops, and trailer homes in which to house its small team. In a little over 3 months, the base consisted of a single paved runway, 3 hangars, a control tower, and rudimentary accommodations for test personnel. The base's few amenities included a movie theater and volleyball court. There was also a mess hall, several wells, and fuel storage tanks. CIA, Air Force, and Lockheed personnel began arriving by July 1955. The ranch received its first U-2 delivery on 24th July 1955 from Burbank on a C-124 Globemaster II cargo plane, accompanied by Lockheed technicians on a Douglas DC-3. Regular military air transport service flights were set up between Area 51 and Lockheed's offices in Burbank, California. To preserve secrecy, personnel flew to Nevada on Monday mornings and returned to California on Friday evenings. See, that's something I've thought of also, just in a more generalized sense. Like, just imagine being, whether there's a lot of things that we would consider highly outlandish occurring at Area 51 or not. Imagine being the people who work at Area 51. Like, imagine having that much secrecy surrounding your job and having to, work in that environment all the time. And then imagine in more recent times being the people who work at Area 51 and having this whole storm Area 51 thing come about, and basically being aware that sort of the eye of the internet is upon you. I mean, my God. Can you imagine? I mean, it would just be crazy to sort of be in that focal point. Oxcart program. Project Oxcart was established in August 1959 for, quote, anti-radar studies, aerodynamic structural tests, and engineering designs, end quote, and all later work on the Lockheed A-12. This included testing at Groom Lake, which had inadequate facilities consisting of buildings for only 150 people, a 5,000 foot asphalt runway, and limited fuel, hangar, and shop space. Groom Lake had received the name Area 51. Wikipedia says verification needed there. When A-12 test facility construction began in September 1960, including a new 8,500-foot runway to replace the existing runway. Reynolds Electrical and Engineering Company, RECO, began construction of Project 51 on 1st October 1960 with double-shift construction schedules. The contractor upgraded base facilities and built a new 10,000-foot runway, 14/32, diagonally across the southwest corner of the lake bed. They marked an Archimedean spiral on the dry lake approximately 2 miles across so that an A-12 pilot approaching the end of the overrun could abort instead of plunging into the sagebrush. Area 51 pilots called it the Hook. For crosswind landings, they marked 2 unpaved airstrips, runways 927 and 0321, on the dry lake bed. By August 1961, construction was completed of the essential facilities. 3 surplus Navy hangars were erected on the base's north side. Hangars, while Hangar 7 was new construction. The original U-2 hangars were converted to maintenance and machine shops. Facilities in the main cantonment area included workshops and buildings for storage and administration, a commissary, control tower, fire station, and housing. The Navy also contributed more than 130 surplus Babbitt duplex housing units for long-term occupancy facilities. Older buildings were repaired, and additional facilities were constructed as necessary. A reservoir pond surrounded by trees served as a recreational area 1 mile north of the base. Other recreational facilities included a gymnasium, a movie theater, and a baseball diamond. A permanent aircraft fuel tank farm was constructed by early 1962 for the special JP-7 fuel required by the A-12. 7 tanks were constructed, with a total capacity of 1,320,000 gallons. Security was enhanced for the arrival of Oxcart, and the small mine was closed in the Groom Basin. In January 1962, the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, expanded the restricted airspace in the vicinity of Groom Lake, and the lake bed became the center of a 600 square mile addition to restricted area R4808N, or R488, I don't know how to say that, R4808N. The CIA facility received 8 USAF F-101 Voodoos for training, 2 T-33 Shooting Star trainers for proficiency flying, a C-130 Hercules for cargo transport, a U-3A for administrative purposes, a helicopter for search and rescue, and a Cessna 180 for liaison use, and Lockheed provided an F-104 Starfighter for use as a chase plane. By the way, in case anyone's wondering, again, we are going to get into the Storm Area 51 stuff and articles on that soon. I'm just wanting to go over this Wikipedia article first, at least to get a sort of basis, a more fundamental understanding of Area 51, before we sort of dive into perhaps the more fun stuff. The first A-12 test aircraft was covertly trucked from Burbank on 26 February 1962 and arrived at Groom Lake on 28th of February. It made its first flight 26th of April 1962 when the base had over 1,000 personnel. Initially, all who were not connected with the test were herded into the mess hall before each takeoff. This was soon dropped, as it disrupted activities and was impractical with a large number of flights. The closed airspace above Groom Lake was within the Nellis Air Force Range airspace, and pilots saw the A-12 20 to 30 times. Groom was also the site of the first Lockheed D-21 drone test flight on 22 December 1964. By the end of 1963, 9 A-12s were at Area 51, assigned to the CIA-operated 1129th Special Activities Squadron. Some interesting stuff we're covering here. That said, according to my view counter, a couple people just left when I when I said that we were gonna talk about the other stuff. I don't know. I want to say this though before I forget this point. As far as this Storm Area 51 stuff goes, though, it's weird to me how it's almost hard to know what to make of the potential reality of it or not, because so I don't know, I've watched a number of videos about this, before this stream, recent weeks, I guess, as this has been happening, and read some articles, and basically it seems like, okay, so it started out as a joke, which first of all, many people did not get either, which is bizarre in and of itself. You had people who basically don't understand internet culture, thinking that it was real before it sort of even took off to the extreme. But then it did take off to the extreme. And again, this is just to the best of my understanding. And then it started to look like, okay, maybe some people were taking it more seriously. And you would think that now, I think the latest number is at least 1.6 million people, or is it more than that by now? I don't know. Maybe that's an old number. But literally well over 1 million people RSVPing to it on Facebook. It's like, well, if even just 0.1% of those people took it seriously, then all of a sudden it's not entirely a joke anymore. And so now there's almost this weird divide, it seems, between the people who knew that it was a joke and the people that did not. Or now it's almost like I almost wonder if the people who knew it was a joke from the start are fully realizing that it has taken on a life of its own, or maybe they do. I have no idea. It's just speculation. But I don't know. There's something else I was going to say with that. What was it? I can't remember. But yeah, just the overall idea, though, that it's become much more complicated than just, it's a joke or not a joke, or it was a joke and it's no longer a joke. I mean, it's all over the place, it seems. And you have to understand, there's so many different kinds of people that something like this is going to tie in. You're going to have the sort of, what could we call them? The meme obsessed nihilists or nihilists, the meme obsessed nihilists who just sort of believe in nothing and are just interested in the memes and the jokes and whatnot. And then you have you'll have like the conspiracy theorists who probably recognize, in many cases, I would think, that it's not exactly something that was meant to be taken seriously, but also want to know the truth about Area 51 and aliens and stuff like that. And then you have like perhaps older people who, and I'm not saying this about all people who are much older, but a lot of older people don't seem to understand internet culture. I feel like even I am getting a little too old to fully understand internet culture sometimes, if I'm being honest. Who are, looking at this in horror and thinking, oh, these dumb millennials, what do they think they're doing? And not, of course, not realizing it's a joke, or at least it was a joke. And now I don't know what it is. But so it's like you have these different like splintered factions, these different like camps or whatever. You know what I mean? Like different people who are all kind of coming at this from a different angle. What I'm trying to do is see it from everyone's angle, everyone's perspective. Let's see. Hi, this is Christopher Elf. I'm so glad to see you back on YouTube, Area 51. So it's been my favorite. It's a very popular tourist destination now. Yes. Well, thank you, Christopher Caldwell, and good to see you also. I haven't seen you in a while. But yeah, I guess it is a very popular tourist destination. Like, another interesting thing about this is that, and I know we're going to get into more of this later, but so according to the various like news reports and stuff about this, if you look at the roads that actually lead to and from Area 51, there's not much road there. I think what I read was that much of it is a dirt road, and it's just a one way. I'd have to look it up to be sure, so I don't want to like say something and then have it be wrong. But basically, the point is, it's not a road designed to handle a lot of traffic at all. I mean, this place is in the middle of nowhere, pretty much. So, if you have, let's see, well, right now, well over 1 million people have RSVP'd to this thing. Well, if you have even just 0.1% of that, like thousands of people trying to cram in there, I mean, what exactly is going to happen? It's going to be like one hell of a traffic jam, that's for damn sure. So I don't know, dude. And now they've been talking about how they're going to set up like bands to play outside. I'm not kidding. Bands to play outside. I think at the Area 51 Alien Center or whatever it's called, and there's going to be food and whatnot. And now I guess apparently Arby's wants to feed the people going there. I mean, it's just insane. It's like it's turning into some like, great big PR thing. So, I don't know. I guess in a way, I guess I'm kind of, September 20th rolls around and, get to tune into the Area 51 stream and go to the Area 51 Twitter and the Area 51 Instagram. Got to get the Area 51 merch and follow the Area 51 Snapchat and, get its YouTube channel, its Twitch, its Instagram. I already said Instagram. It's a pretty big event. So anyway, let's get back down to business here. Oh, and another thing we can do later on, just for the hell of it, we can look at the astrology, since probably all of my viewers should know by now, I study astrology and have for years. We can look at the astrology of September 20th when people are, I guess, planning to storm Area 51, whether it's real or a joke or somewhere in between, and see what we can find out from the astrological data for that day, and maybe other things going on in the background astrologically. And there's one thing in particular I already know is I'm going to have to talk about in connection to this. But anyway, let us continue. D21 tag board. Following the loss of Gary Powers' U-2 over the Soviet Union, there were several discussions about using the A-12 Oxcart as an unpiloted drone aircraft. Although Kelly Johnson had come to support the idea of drone reconnaissance, he opposed the development of an A-12 drone, contending that the aircraft was too large and complex for such a conversion. However, the Air Force agreed to fund the study of a high-speed, high-altitude drone aircraft in October 1962. The Air Force interest seems to have moved the CIA to take action, the project designated Q-12. By October 1963, the drone's design had been finalized. At the same time, the Q-12 underwent a name change. To separate it from the other A-12-based projects, it was renamed the D-21. The 12 was reversed to 21. Tagboard was the project's codename. The first D-21 was completed in the spring of 1964 by Lockheed. After 4 more months of checkouts and static tests, the aircraft was shipped to Groom Lake and reassembled. It was to be carried by a 2-seat derivative of the A-12, designated the M-21. When the D-21 M-21 reached the launch point, the first step would be to blow off the D-21's inlet and exhaust covers. With the D-21 M-21's correct speed and altitude, the LCO would start the ramjet and other systems of the D-21. Quote, with the D-21 systems activated and running, the launch aircraft at the correct point, the M-21 would begin a slight pushover, the LCO would push a final button, and the D-21 would come off the pylon, end quote. I don't know. This is getting maybe a little off topic. Maybe we should look for other stuff here. Let's see. Several more test flights, including 2 over China, were made from Beale Air Force Base, California in 1969 and 1970 to varying degrees of success. All right. I'm just going to check a couple of things with the stream real quick, and then we're going to look at foreign technology evaluation. Yeah, I will occasionally do this when we're doing a stream like this one and looking at a Wikipedia article or any other article. If there are sections that don't seem quite as relevant to our interests, I will skip over them in an effort to keep things at least somewhat interesting. Foreign technology evaluation. During the Cold War, one of the missions carried out by the United States was the test and evaluation of captured Soviet fighter aircraft. Beginning in the late 1960s and for several decades, Area 51 played host to an assortment of Soviet-built aircraft. Under the Have Donut, Have Drill and Have Ferry programs, the first MiGs flown in the United States were used to evaluate the aircraft in performance, technical, and operational capabilities, pitting the types against U.S. fighters. Okay, I think we're going to skip through this too. Jeez, there's just so much stuff on that. Here, this should be interesting. Legal status. U.S. government's positions on Area 51. The United States government has provided minimal information regarding Area 51. The area surrounding the lake is permanently off limits to both civilian and normal military air traffic. Security clearances are checked regularly. Cameras and weaponry are not allowed. Even military pilots training in the NAFR Risk Disciplinary Action. I did not say that correctly. Even military pilots training in the NAFR Risk Disciplinary Action if they stray into the exclusionary quote-unquote box surrounding Groom's airspace. I'm sorry, Mercury is currently retrograde, and it's a little harder to talk than usual. Surveillance is supplemented using buried motion sensors. Area 51 is a common destination for Janet Airline, a small fleet of passenger aircraft operated on behalf of the Air Force to transport military personnel, primarily from McCarran International Airport. The USGS topographic map for the area only shows the long disused Groom Mine. A civil aviation chart published by the Nevada Department of Transportation shows a large restricted area, defined as part of the Nellis restricted airspace. The National Atlas shows the area as lying within the Nellis Air Force Base. There are higher resolution and newer images available from other satellite imagery providers, including Russian providers and the IKONOS, IKONOS. These show the runway markings, base facilities, aircraft, and vehicles. On 25th June 2013, the CIA released an official history of the U-2 and Oxcart projects from which acknowledged and existed. I misspoke there too, I apologize. On 25th June 2013, the CIA released an official history of the U-2 and Oxcart projects, which acknowledged the existence of Area 51 in response to a Freedom of Information Act request submitted in 2005 by Jeffrey R. Rickelson of George Washington University's National Security Archive. It contains numerous references to Area 51 and Groom Lake, along with a map of the area. Next, we'll be looking at environmental lawsuits. What could this be? Oh boy, I've got to be honest, I should not have pushed myself so hard in my workout and otherwise today, because now I'm sort of paying the price for it. Oh well. I can take it. Environmental lawsuit. In 1994, 5 unnamed civilian contractors and the widows of contractors Walter Kaza and Robert Frost sued the Air Force and the United States Environmental Protection Agency. They alleged that they had been present when large quantities of unknown chemicals had been burned in open pits and trenches at Groom. Rutgers University biochemists analyzed biopsies from the complainants and found high levels of dioxin, dibenzoffurin, and trichloroethylene in their body fat. The complainants alleged that they had sustained skin, liver, and respiratory injuries due to their work at Groom, and that this had contributed to the deaths of Frost and Kaja. The suit sought compensation for the injuries, claiming that the Air Force had illegally handled toxic materials and that the EPA had failed in its duty to enforce the Resource Conservation and Recovery Act, which governs handling of dangerous materials. They also sought detailed information about the chemicals, hoping that this would facilitate the medical treatment of survivors. Congressman Lee H. Hamilton, former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, told 60 Minutes reporter Leslie Stahl, quote, "The Air Force is classifying all information about Area 51 in order to protect themselves from a lawsuit," end quote. The government invoked the state secrets privilege and petitioned U.S. District Judge Philip Pro to disallow disclosure of classified documents or examination of secret witnesses, claiming that this would expose classified information and threaten national security. Judge Pro rejected the government's argument, so President Bill Clinton issued a presidential determination exempting what it called, quote, "the Air Force's operating location near Groom Lake, Nevada," end quote, from environmental disclosure laws. Consequently, Pro dismissed the suit due to lack of evidence. Turley appealed to the U.S. Court of Appeals from the Ninth Circuit on the grounds that the government was abusing its power to classify material. Secretary of the Air Force Sheila E. Widnall filed a brief which stated that disclosures of the materials present in the air and water near Groom, quote, "can reveal military operational capabilities or the nature and scope of classified operations," end quote. The Ninth Circuit rejected Turley's appeal, and the U.S. Supreme Court refused to hear it, putting an end to the complainant's case. The President annually issues a determination continuing the Groom exception, which is the only formal recognition that the government has ever given that Groom Lake is more than simply another part of the Nellis complex. An unclassified memo on the safe handling of F-117 Nighthawk material was posted on an Air Force website in 2005. This discussed the same materials for which the complainants had requested information, which the government had claimed was classified. The memo was removed shortly after journalists became aware of it. All right, so there's some more interesting stuff on Wikipedia, but first I think I'm going to take a little break and post to my one Instagram account that I am live doing the stream, because I think some on there might be particularly interested in this reality. At least I hope so. Let's see here. All right. I always forget if that means I have the flash on or not, but maybe I don't need it today. I can sort of see myself on the screen. Oh, cool. There I am. I do not have the flash on, which means I was completely unaware if that was recording or not. All right. Okay, here we go. Hello, everyone. I am live talking about Area 51 on youtube.com/poetic-heretic. Also a link in my bio. You should come watch and join the discussion. All right, here we go. Hello, everyone. I am live talking about Area 51 on youtube.com/poetic-heretic. Also a link in my bio. You should come watch and join the discussion. All right, here we go. Discussion or lack thereof, I guess I should say. But, okay, so that posted. All right. I like to do that occasionally. Get hopefully get more people in here. I have no delusions of grandeur. I know I'm not exactly Mr. Mainstream YouTuber here or anything, but I do what I can. All right, let's see. Here's a brief paragraph on civil aviation identification. In December 2007, airline pilots noticed that the base had appeared in their aircraft navigation system's latest Jeppesen database revision with the ICAO airport identifier code of KXTA and listed as Homey Airport. The probably inadvertent release of the airport data led to advice by the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, AOPA, that student pilots should be explicitly warned about KXTA, not to consider it as a waypoint or destination for any flight, even though it now appears in public navigation databases. Security. The perimeter of the base is marked out by orange posts and patrolled by guards in white pickup trucks and camouflage fatigues. The guards are popularly referred to as camo dudes by enthusiasts. The guards will not answer questions about their employers. However, according to the New York Daily News, there are indications they are employed through a contractor such as AECOM or AECOM, AECOM. Signage around the base perimeter advises that deadly force is authorized against trespassers. Technology is also heavily used to maintain the border of the base. This includes surveillance cameras and motion detectors. Some of these motion detectors are placed some distance away from the base on public land to notify guards of people approaching. So watch out for those of you wanting to storm Area 51. But I'm sure if we Naruto run, we can avoid the motion detectors. 1974 Skylab photography. Dwayne A. Day published Astronauts in Area 51, the Skylab Incident, in the Space Review in January 2006. It was based on a memo written in 1974 to CIA Director William Colby by an unknown CIA official. The memo reported that astronauts on board Skylab 4 had inadvertently photographed a certain location. There were specific instructions not to do this. This is a quote. There were specific instructions not to do this. Brackets redacted was the only location which had such an instruction. End quote. The name of the location was obscured, but the context led Day to believe that the subject was Groom Lake. Day argues that, quote, the CIA considered no other spot on Earth to be as sensitive as Groom Lake, end quote. The memo details debate between federal agencies regarding whether the images should be classified, with Department of Defense agencies arguing that it should, and NASA and the State Department arguing that it should not be classified. The memo itself questions the legality of retroactively classifying unclassified images. The memo includes handwritten remarks, apparently by Director of Central Intelligence Colby, quote, brackets, Secretary of State Rusk did raise it, said State Department. People felt strongly, but he inclined leave decision to me, DCI. I confess some question over need to protect since 1. USSR has it from own sats. 2. What really does it reveal? 3. If exposed, don't we just say classified USAF work is done there? End quote. The declassified documents do not disclose the outcome of discussions regarding the Skylab imagery. The debate proved moot, as the photograph appeared in the federal government's archive of satellite imagery along with the remaining Skylab 4 photographs. All right, next up, here we go. UFO and other conspiracy theories. Strap yourselves in. Yeah, geez, I really picked a hell of a day to push myself and working out. I'm like dying here. Oh well. UFO and other conspiracy theories. Area 51 has become a focus of modern conspiracy theories due to its secretive nature and connection to classified aircraft research. Theories include the storage, examination, and reverse engineering of crashed alien spacecraft, including material supposedly recovered at Roswell, the study of their occupants, and the manufacture of aircraft based on alien technology. Meetings or joint undertakings with extraterrestrials. The development of exotic energy weapons for the Strategic Defense Initiative, SDI, or other weapons programs. The development of weather control. The development of time travel and teleportation technology. The development of exotic propulsion systems related to the Aurora program. Activities related to a shadowy one world government or the Majestic 12 organization. You know, I think years ago when I looked into this stuff more, I heard one, I guess, conspiracy theory that, what was it exactly? That at least one location, and I think one of them was allegedly in the underground areas of Area 51, there was a portal, a literal, like, space portal, like you could step into it and end up somewhere else, to Mars and possibly the moon as well, where allegedly secret projects were taking place. Now I can't remember exactly where that information was coming from, but you know, I don't know. I'm pretty sure a lot of you could probably find a lot of the typical conspiracy circles, but yeah, that's an interesting theory sort of floating around out there that I've heard. Hang on, I'm going to get up and stretch my legs real quick and see if I can sort of physically stabilize here. One moment, please. Okay, I'm back. That was at least somewhat refreshing. All right, let's continue. Many of the hypotheses concern underground facilities at Groom or at Papoose Lake, also known as S4 location. 8.5 miles, 13.7 kilometers south, and include claims of a transcontinental underground railroad system. A disappearing airstrip nicknamed the Cheshire Airstrip, after Lewis Carroll's Cheshire Cat, which briefly appears when water is sprayed onto its camouflaged asphalt, and engineering based on alien technology. Why do I feel like I'm like off center here? Hang on. There, that's better, I think. In the mid-1950s, civilian aircraft flew under 20,000 feet, while military aircraft flew under 40,000 feet. The U-2 began flying at above 60,000 feet, and there was an increasing number of UFO sighting reports. Sightings occurred most often during early evening hours when airline pilots flying west saw the U-2's silver wings reflect the setting sun, giving the aircraft a quote-unquote fiery appearance. Many sighting reports came to the Air Force's Project Blue Book, which investigated UFO sightings, through air traffic controllers and letters to the government. The project checked U-2 and later Oxcart flight records to eliminate the majority of UFO reports that it received during the late 1950s and 1960s, although it could not reveal to the letter writers the truth behind what they saw. Similarly, veterans of experimental projects such as Oxcart and NERVA at Area 51 agree that their work inadvertently prompted many of the UFO sightings and other rumors. How the hell do I still feel like my chair just doesn't feel right for some reason? Let's see. Hi there, my prince. Thank you, Mount Olympus. Hello there to you as well. Quote, the shape of Oxcart was unprecedented, with its wide, disc-like fuselage designed to carry vast quantities of fuel. Commercial pilots cruising over Nevada at dusk would look up and see the bottom of Oxcart whiz by at 2,000 plus miles per hour. The aircraft's titanium body, moving as fast as a bullet, would reflect the sun's rays in a way that could make anyone think UFO. End quote. They believe that the rumors helped maintain secrecy over Area 51's actual operations. The veterans deny the existence of a vast underground railroad system, although many of Area 51's operations did occur underground. Interesting stuff. Bob Lazar claimed in 1989 that he had worked at Area 51's Sector 4, S4, said to be located underground inside the Papoose Range near Papoose Lake. He claimed that he was contracted to work with alien spacecraft that the government had in its possession. Similarly, the 1996 documentary Dreamland, directed by Bruce Burgess, included an interview with a 71-year-old mechanical engineer who claimed to be a former employee at Area 51 during the 1950s. His claims included that he had worked on a, quote, flying disc simulator, end quote, which had been based on a disc originating from a crashed extraterrestrial craft and was used to train pilots. He also claimed to have worked with an extraterrestrial being named J-Rod and described as a, quote-unquote, telepathic translator. J-Rod. Interesting. In 2004, Dan Burish, pseudonym of Dan Crane, claimed to have worked on cloning alien viruses at Area 51, also alongside the alien named J-Rod. Burish's scholarly credentials are the subject of much debate, as he was apparently working as a Las Vegas parole officer in 1989, while also earning a PhD at State University of New York. SUNY. Oh, and look what we have here coming up as the very next thing. Facebook event to storm Area 51. In July 2019, more than 1.9 million people responded to a joke proposal to storm Area 51, which appeared in an anonymous Facebook post. A further 1.4 million people said they were interested in the event, scheduled for 20th September 2019, and billed as Storm Area 51, They Can't Stop All of Us, an attempt to, quote-unquote, see them aliens. Hello there, Salim. I've missed you a lot, my prince. Well, I'm happy to be back. Air Force spokeswoman Laura McAndrews said government officials knew about the proposal. In a statement to the Washington Post, she said, quote, in parentheses, Area 51 is an open training range for the U.S. Air Force, and we would discourage anyone from trying to come into the area where we train American armed forces. The U.S. Air Force always stands ready to protect America and its assets." End quote. The media reported that the proposal's creator has said it was satirical and meant as a joke. Yes, which again should have obviously been the case, and I think was obviously the case to most people early on, but it has since sort of taken on a life of its own. So, where should we go next? What article should we go into next? My tablet reflected the sun there for a brief moment. Did you guys see that? Let's see here. There's like a lot of stuff popping up, as you can imagine. Let's just read like a typical news article and go from there. This is like the first one that popped up. Not that we'll just be reading news articles the entire time, but we're just going to read one right now. Here we go again. Communities near Area 51 brace for influx of UFO tourists. A Facebook event encouraging people to, quote-unquote, storm Area 51 has ramped up alien hunting buzz to an unprecedented level in Lincoln County, Nevada. Then it shows a picture and it says, visitors take pictures with a statue of an alien known by locals as Fred outside the Alien Research Center in Crystal Springs, Nevada. Well, there it is. Hello, Fred. Doesn't seem to want to focus on it. There we go. Just say hi, Fred. By Anita Hassan. Alamo, Nevada. The first time Vern Holiday heard people talk about trying to storm Area 51, he was sitting around a campfire with about a dozen UFO enthusiasts outside the motel he owns in Alamo. Did I just screw up the color temperature with that? Hang on. Oh, well, whatever. It was the fall of 2009, and the 15-room Alamo Inn was hosting an annual UFO conference. As it usually did, the conversation turned from alien life forms to conspiracy theories about Area 51, the secretive military facility about 35 miles west of Alamo. That night, a man from Idaho, who worked on motorcycles for a living, suggested to the others around the campfire that they could rush the facility on motorcycles, believing the military guards wouldn't be able to stop them that way, Holiday recalled. Well, clearly, they hadn't thought of the truly effective method, which is to Naruto run. I mean, geez, what the... Probably have an IQ of about 1. Nothing ever came of that scheme beyond campfire chatter, but Holiday, 59, thought of it recently when a Facebook event titled Storm Area 51, They Can't Stop All of Us, set off an internet frenzy. Even though the events... The fuck is this site doing? Sorry about that, there was an anomaly. Even though the event's creator, Maddie Roberts, claimed it was a hoax and the Air Force warned against anyone breaking into the property located within the Nevada Test and Training Range at the Nellis Air Force Base, almost 2 million people have RSVP'd on Facebook for the September 20th gathering. Okay, and it's also popping up with shit again, so give me one moment, please. Here we go. Quote, all I thought was, here we go again, Holiday said, chuckling. As of this week, his motel, about 90 miles north of Las Vegas, had only 2 vacant rooms left for the days of the event. I'm almost surprised that it had any rooms left. It's gonna fucking flee on me. Is there? No, there isn't. Okay, good. All right, let's see. Tourism drawn by talk of extraterrestrial activities has been a part of the economy for decades in the small towns that dot the valleys near Area 51. The boom began around 1989 when Bob Lazar, a self-described engineer, claimed to a Las Vegas television station that he worked on extraterrestrial aircraft that were housed at Area 51. Since then, business owners and residents have welcomed tourists hoping to get a peek at the military facility or spot a UFO in the sky. But the Facebook event has ramped up buzz to levels residents have never witnessed, with motel and campground owners receiving scores of calls a day. If the event brings the masses its promised, many in the area are excited for the potential extra business. Some, though, are also concerned about the lack of infrastructure to accommodate the crowds that could attend. Quote, "This is the most overwhelmed I've ever felt in my entire life," said Connie West, who co-owns a motel, bar, and restaurant called Little Ailey Inn with her mother in, again, I don't know if that's Raquel or whatever, a tiny town about 50 miles from Alamo. Since the end of June, her business has been inundated with calls about everything from room bookings to bands that want to play on her property during the event. Like Holiday, she's heard the conspiracy theorists talk of invading Area 51 for years, but nothing of this magnitude. "It's a frenzy," she said. How's my other half poetic been? Your other half. I don't know about that, but how have I been? I guess the war continues, the war against the enemy, the emotional abusers, the purveyors of invalidation. I don't know. Everything's been pretty hellish, I guess, but I keep fighting. The Little Ailey Inn is the only business in Raquel, a close-knit desert community of about 70 people that spans about 3 miles on the extraterrestrial highway, formerly known as State Route 375. The highway was renamed by the Nevada Tourism Board in 1996. Last weekend, West 51 and a handful of locals sat in rocking chairs and at picnic tables under the shade of a silver maple tree, discussing preparations for September 20th. West has been calling food and alcohol vendors. The motel hosts the only bar for about 100 miles in any direction to make sure she's stocked up. She's been ordering more t-shirts, mugs, and other novelty items for the gift shop inside the restaurant. The motel also rents out campsites, and West is in the process of clearing more land to make room for patrons attending the event. I will say, so as someone who occasionally does tarot and astrology readings for people and gets paid to do it, I can understand, I would be quite excited from a business perspective if I was one of the people in this area who had a store or something. I would probably be very excited for the extra business personally. I'd be like, well, maybe it'll be a bit overwhelming, but bring it the hell on is how I would feel. Too bad I don't live in that area and I couldn't just go there and set up a little stand and be like, hey, come get a tarot reading, $8 tarot readings or $10 tarot readings, $20 astrology readings, whatever. Hell, with that many customers, I could probably do them for $5 or something. But, sadly, I live very far from Area 51. But then again, maybe in some ways that's a good thing. I don't know. I'm not planning on I wouldn't be planning on entering inside Area 51 regardless, though. Let me just make that clear. Quote, "There's not a way or walk of life that hasn't come through those doors in the last 31 years, West said of the conspiracy theorists, UFO believers, and astronomy buffs she's hosted. All are welcome." She also said that. Wait, you and me both could go out there together and do this. Sounds like a hell of a lot of fun, but I don't know, dude. I feel like I'd be in the eye of the beast or something if I did that, just because this event has probably caught, so much governmental attention. Area 51 and surrounding towns. UFO enthusiasts help fuel the region's economy. Still, West said she was concerned about people getting hurt or arrested trying to make their way to Area 51. Some have speculated that local law enforcement will shut down roads leading to the military facility to prevent anyone from getting close. Lincoln County Sheriff Kerry Lee said he could not discuss the details, but that the agency was prepared. Nellis Air Force Base said in a statement that, quote, any attempt to illegally access the area is highly discouraged, end quote. Who knows what's going to happen, West said. It could happen and be great for business, or it could be a financial disaster. Michael Shepard, 44, a Raquel resident. Okay, this is driving me crazy. I need to know how to pronounce the freaking name of that town, so I'm going to Google it real quick. One moment, please. Let's see. Okay. Wikipedia. Okay, I don't think I'm going to get information there either. Just type in pronunciation. How do I pronounce it? I need to know. This is like for a name, like the name of a person. Oh my God. Typing in whatever Nevada pronunciation. Let's see. Let's see. I don't know. I thought it would be easy to find, but usually I can find the stuff right away on Google, but I couldn't find it. Would you think any other vendors would show up and try to make money out there? Oh, hell yeah. At least probably. I mean, I know I would if I was in that area. My entrepreneurial instincts would be going through the roof, and I don't even have very strong entrepreneurial instincts. Again, as I mentioned really early in the stream, I already know that Arby's apparently wants to feed the people going out there. I also see the lighting is getting messed up. I'm going to fix that real quick. All right, there we go. But yeah, I'm sure there will be all kinds of vendors out there. I don't know if Arby's is necessarily a vendor, but I just mentioned them as an example. All right, let's see. Michael Shepard, 44, a Raquel or whatever resident, is concerned about the trash that the influx of visitors could leave behind. This is our little part of the desert, Shepard, who works on an alfalfa farm, said. We want people to respect it. About 40 miles south of the Little Alien Inn is the Alien Research Center, a novelty shop that has become a popular spot for tourists driving down the extraterrestrial highway. The shop carries everything from alien-shaped salt and pepper shakers to Star Wars collectibles. Misty Ingram, 38, who has worked at the shop for about a year, said she hasn't been able to keep t-shirts on the rack in the last few weeks. The best-selling item recently? Black t-shirts with red and white lettering that reads Area 51, Groom Lake Research Facility S4, Warning, Restricted Area, Use of Deadly Force Authorized. The shirts are meant to imitate the signage at the guarded gates around the facility that tourists trek to see each year. I think it's ridiculous that anyone thinks they are going to get into Area 51, Ingram said. She believes the event will morph into more of a makeshift festival than a raid. The shop's phone has been ringing with vendors ranging from bakeries to tattoo artists asking if they can set up in the store's parking lot in September. Okay, so yeah, there you go. The shop's phone has been ringing with vendors ranging from bakeries to tattoo artists. Oh boy. Ingram, a mother of 3 who has lived in Alamo for 12 years, said she's excited for the business, but is concerned about safety, noise, and traffic jams on the 2-lane highways that connect the valleys in Lincoln, Nevada. Most of us live all the way out here for a reason, Ingram said. It's to get away from things like this. Yeah, let me see if I can fix this light a bit more, or the lighting. And there we go. It's a little too harsh on my face. Also, here's a picture of that Misty Ingram who works at that place. I assume that's her response to finding out that there's going to be this alien or this Area 51 raid. Probably be my response too, honestly. I'd be like, well, Holiday grew up in Alamo, a ranching and agricultural community of about 1,000 residents, where neighbors pull their cars over to stop and chat when they see each other. The town is so close to the Nevada test and training range that many locals have a story about a military jet flying so low it felt as if it were hovering just above their head. They are used to sonic booms from speeding aircraft rattling their windows. Holiday's father, who did some cattle ranching, was also a maintenance worker at Area 51. Growing up, it was understood that his father did not discuss the details of what he saw while working at the military facility. About 12 years ago, Holiday learned that the Alamo Inn was for sale. He decided to return from New Jersey, where he'd been living for work, to buy it and raise his 2 children in his hometown. Let's see, I'm going to take just a moment to verify that Instagram story posted, because I like to do that. Let's see here. Hello, everyone. I am live talking about... Okay, apparently it did. Excellent. Okay. Wait, where the hell were we? Okay. Soon afterward, a group began hosting a UFO conference there. For 5 or 6 years, the group held panels at a nearby senior center and then returned to the Alamo Inn in the evening. They barbecued and then sat around a campfire talking shop. Holiday often joined them, giving little credence to the theories, but still amused and fascinated. And there's the aliens there. You can kind of see them. The aliens in the shop. A display of aliens at the Little Alien Inn in Raquel, Nevada. They said a lot of strange things, he said. But honestly, I also learned a lot from them, too, about looking at the stars. Looking at the stars, that's what I do. One night, after putting out the campfire, Holiday drove with the group down the extraterrestrial highway into Tikaboo Valley to a single black mailbox in a dusty lot on the side of the road. Holiday said the mailbox belonged to a local rancher, but somehow over the years, truth stretched into conspiracies, and many came to believe it was a spot where aliens communicated with humans. The original mailbox has since been replaced, but on a recent visit, it was still stuffed with hand-scrawled notes, including one that read, "Dear aliens, please take Donald Trump." I mean, I don't think people should go insulting and disrespecting aliens like that. Like, that is very offensive, and they should be ashamed of themselves for expecting the aliens to do those kinds of things. That's not funny. While the trip to the mailbox wasn't the pilgrimage for Holiday that it was for the UFO enthusiasts, he did have a new experience sitting still and staring at the stars for hours that night, as he waited with the others for aliens to appear. It's like you've lived here your whole life, he said, but you've never looked up. Oh, nice. Then there's a picture of the Alien Research Center in Crystal Springs. Behold. If it'll ever fucking focus. There we go. Okay. So that's it for that article. So, all right. Holy shit. We are already 1 hour, 22 minutes into this stream. Why don't we next take a look at the astrological conditions for September 20th, the day of this Area 51 raid, if it happens or happens in any capacity, and see what we can sort of figure out from that. Okay, so let me just pull those up here real quick. One moment. So the way I'm doing this is, as it typically is when I do any kind of astrology stream, I can still see the chat as I'm looking at the astrological data in another window. So I can't see myself. So if there are any technical difficulties, I wouldn't be able to see those either, but I can still see the chat. All right, so September 20th, 2019. Let's see here. So wow, it just got dark. That's weird. I'll turn on more light if we need to here in a bit, if it stays like this. So the event is scheduled for 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. So it starts at 3 a.m., September 20th. But I think the real question is, if it's 3 a.m. in Nevada, what time is it here? Because I'll need to input the time that it would be here so we can get the exact astrological conditions there. Here, I'm just going to use Google for this. Okay, Google. If it was 3 a.m. in Nevada, what time would it be here?
6 a.m. Saturday in Oil City, Pennsylvania.
Okay. That's what I thought, 6 a.m., but I wasn't quite sure. Was it like Western time, or I wasn't sure if it was Western time or like one time zone over. All right, let's see. 6 a.m. Okay, September 20th, 2019, 6 a.m. Are you guys ready? Because here we go. Actually, this lighting thing is going to drive me crazy. Here we don't go. Give me a moment. Well, the sun is temporarily behind a cloud. Not sure how long that's going to last. Yeah, that didn't work. Okay, it seems to have stabilized. If it messes up, I apologize. But anyway, okay, here we go. The astrological conditions for September 20th, 2019, the day of this Area 51 raid at 3 a.m. Nevada's time, 6 a.m. my time. All right, so let's see. Well, the moon will be in Gemini that day, where it is right now, funny enough. Trining Venus, so on one level, the energy will be very conducive for social activities that day. So I guess that'll be a good thing. That'll add some much needed harmony or easier energy to work with to that day. And Venus will be conjunct Mercury within a few degrees. So actually within exactly 3 degrees in 1 minute, in fact. So as the moon is at 6, almost 7 of Gemini, trining Venus conjunct Mercury in Libra that day, that will also be adding to energy that is conducive for communication, which I bet there's going to be a hell of a lot of that with Mercury in there. So we've got basically a Venus-Mercury conjunction, a love of communication and all that. And we've got the moon like moving through the perfecting of a trine to that conjunction and to both Venus and Mercury that day throughout the next several hours or so. Let me see here just how long that will be. That'll sort of culminate with a trine to Mercury, which will occur soon after 1 p.m. that day. Well, 1 p.m. my time, so 10 a.m. Area 51's time. So, yeah, as for what kind of day that will be, I think based on that, we should see a lot of people being all about the socialization of it, the connection of it, the posting to social media about it. I'm assuming there's a cell phone signal out there, right, at that place. I mean, there probably is these days. Pretty damn sure that there would be. Live streaming it probably. People might be ready to like party or something, indeed, as was suggested. And furthermore, with the moon being in playful, intellectual, curious Gemini, there's, I'm sure, going to be lots of that. Let's be everywhere at once. Let's know all the information we possibly can at once. See, here's the deal. Like moon in Gemini, Gemini is the energy of wanting all the information and all the communication. In astrology, you've got 2 signs that are ruled by communicator Mercury, Gemini, and Virgo. Virgo is very precise and wants to sort of narrow down the information to exactly what it believes to be important. Gemini, on the other hand, it just wants all the information. It just wants to talk. And so that's going to be the kind of energy we have on the day of this Area 51 raid, whether it happens or not, or maybe happens to some extent. I bet you something, at least something is going to happen. People will probably be like sort of bouncing all over the place, metaphorically speaking, and the information exchange, the social media uproar as a result of this is going to be off the charts, and the media uproar and all of that. I am telling you, with that Gemini, that Moon and Gemini energy, especially with it being trine to Mercury conjunct Venus, it's going to be very intense in that area. So, but that, of course, is just one aspect of it. Let's see what else we have. My view counter is going down. Apparently no one wants to hear about the astrology. All right, well, I don't have very many viewers anyway, so whatever. Let's see. In addition to that, Mars will be in a conjunction, or sort of a near conjunction, with the sun. Not exactly a strong conjunction, but Mars will be 6 degrees from the sun. So not the most powerful energy, but Sun conjunct Mars is like a powerful force of moving forward, which is strangely appropriate for this Area 51 raid. Now, if the person who came up with this Storm Area 51 thing had consulted an astrologer, I think that it would have been much more appropriate to schedule this Area 51 raid for, let's just see here, give me a moment. Where the hell is it? One moment, please. Okay, I'm zeroing in on it here. Oh, definitely September 3rd would have been a much better day, because that day we have a Sun-Mercury-Mars conjunction. That day, there would have been intense power pushing forward. But I don't want to underscore, though, the potency that will exist in the energy on September 20th at 3 a.m. Nevada's time, or Area 51's time. We still have something of a Sun-Mars conjunction there. So people will indeed be wanting to push forward. Now, speaking of that Gemini versus Virgo energy, the Sun and Mars will be in Virgo at that time. It will be Virgo season. And so that will just be adding to that communicative energy, with Virgo being ruled by communicator Mercury. So again, expect the social media uproar to be insanely off the charts, the media in general, people covering this. But it's going to be interesting, because since the Sun and Mars will be in Virgo, which is interested in getting to the information that matters, or quote unquote matters, that sort of matters from whoever's perspective, there's, I think, at least theoretically, going to be a desire to push forward in the discovery of information that is the most relevant, which is actually, ironically, or maybe we shouldn't be surprised, exactly what this whole Area 51 raid, as much as it might have been a joke, at least to start with, was all about. That's kind of the idea, like getting to the truth of things, getting to the information that matters. So with the Moon in Gemini that day, but the Sun and Mars in Virgo, we might see an interesting interplay between the Moon in Gemini, like all the different scattered information every which way, all different kinds of information, may be important, may not be important, but just whatever, constant uploads to social media and probably live streaming, all kinds of things, versus the Sun and Mars in Virgo energy, which is much more interested in discovering specifically the important information. So an interesting contrast between those two energies that day. Information of all kinds scattered all over the place, and the specifically important information. It's going to be very fascinating to see how it plays out. Now, there's more. But wait, there's more. So maybe in a way this is like perhaps one of the best days that this Area 51 thing could have been planned for, because hang on, let me get the exact time for this, or let me at least get an approximation. Okay. Less than 24 hours before the beginning of this Area 51 raid, there will be a perfecting of a Mars-Pluto trine. Now, do you guys, if any of you study astrology, I think you may know the relevance of this. This is very interesting that this is happening on this day. Mars is all about let's push forward, let's fight, let's be aggressive, let's assert ourselves. And Pluto is powerful, potent, all or nothing, dynamic, deep, dark, and unconscious. It's all about secrets. Pluto is like, let's get to that which is hidden. Pluto is the archetype that you don't want to mess with because it's so powerful. And so we have Mars, which is all about asserting oneself and pushing forward and all of that, harmoniously trining in a harmonious connection link with Pluto that day, which is all about the secrets and whatnot. So it doesn't take a genius to sort of put this together. People are, at least there's going to be a strong energetic predisposition that day for pushing forward into that which is deep and dark and secret. So it's like Mars could be the people storming Area 51, or if that does happen, which I hope it doesn't, because people are probably going to get killed if they try to do that. So I hope it doesn't happen. But if it does, and I'm not recommending that it does, but if it does, Mars would be the people storming Area 51, whereas Pluto may be Area 51 itself. Although with it being a trine rather than, say, a square or an opposition, supposedly there would be some kind of cooperation. So I'm not quite sure what to make of that. Although the reality, of course, is that astrology is not always that simple. Hang on a second, though. There's another interesting side note to that I'm going to get to in a moment. But it could be, in fact, though, that really this Mars-Pluto trine is just saying that those who are Mars-like that day, who do want to push forward into the secrets, are being given great power, and that would be Pluto. Now, the side note that I mentioned. Let's see, how do I sort of describe this? So at the time that this is happening, we will be likely, let me just see if I can figure it out real quick. Yeah, just a couple days away. Looks like about 2 days away from Mercury squaring Saturn. So this is very significant because Mercury, again, is all about communication. So you could sort of interpret that as the social media people, the internet people, sort of descending upon Area 51. I better make sure there's not a fucking flea on me right now. No, I'm good. So Mercury could be like the internet people in this situation. Saturn's the authority. Saturn is the government. Saturn is the wall, the limit. So obviously that's going to represent Area 51 in this scenario, and a square is a conflict. So we have indeed Mercury, the people, in a square conflict with the government or authority, Area 51. So we are seeing this reflected in the astrology, but there's even more, because of course there is. So if we go back to Mars, just a number of days prior to this, and again, let me try to get the exact date. Let's just see here. It looks like September 14th of 2019. Hang on a second. On September 14th, Mars will oppose Neptune. So this aspect by September 20th will be fading somewhat, but still basically in effect. Mars will be at 21 of Virgo, Neptune at 17 of Pisces. So Mars opposite Neptune, this could be interpreted a number of different ways. First of all, when Mars gets into a tricky conflict with Neptune, it's like Mars wants to push forward, but Neptune has it confused. And so it wants to push forward and fight, but it doesn't know where to go or what to fight. You know, Mars opposite Neptune is a moving target, or a target that you can't see, but you know it's there. So we could have that sort of energy active that day, as you know, and I'm sure in some way, shape, or form we probably will, as people, you know, are ready to push forward, but probably most of them don't know what the hell to push forward into or whatever, you know. But they'll try to Naruto run. So I guess that's what matters. But another interesting aspect of this, though, is that Neptune talks about also things that are supernatural, things that are indeed out of this world. And so we have Mars, the desire to push forward, versus Neptune, things that are out of this world. And so again, we have this idea of the people wanting to storm Area 51 versus the secrets allegedly in Area 51. See what else we have here. I guess overall, I would say that interestingly enough, as is so often the case with these sorts of things, the astrological conditions for that day are reflecting this sort of storm Area 51 energy. But in addition to that, overall, it looks like it's actually likely to be, at least in some aspects, I guess, a really fun day for a lot of people. You know, we've got Venus being activated powerfully in the chart for that day, which is all about fun and socialization and love and all that. And again, the Venus-Mercury conjunction that the moon in Gemini is trining, a love of communication and the love of the media presence and the social media stuff and communicating with one another in that way. So I guess Storm Area 51 should be a lot of fun for a lot of people, but I hope that they don't literally storm Area 51. Otherwise, it's going to be not so fun, because they're going to be shot and killed. At least most likely. Unless the Air Force decides to employ maybe some kind of non-lethal deterrent just this once. I don't know. I don't know what they would do. But I guess for those who at least do not cross into or attempt to cross into, do not try to cross into Area 51, and instead just stay outside of it and maybe, attend whatever sort of festivities may sort of be cropping up in the area. It should actually be a very fun time and a very exciting time with that moon in Gemini trying to Mercury conjunct Venus in Libra, no less, ruled by Venus. So, yeah, there you go. If you have to go out there, have fun, but just don't actually go into Area 51 or try to go into Area 51. Just stay outside of those bounds, and I guess have fun partying, I guess. All right. Anyway, let's see. So is there anything else we should mention about the astrology? Well, just that at that time, let me see something here real quick. Oh, that's interesting. At that time, we will be just like maybe 1 day away from Jupiter squaring Neptune. And whenever we have Jupiter, especially in a difficult aspect with Neptune, we often have a lot of confusion about what is real. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's an element that day of whatever happens, there being difficulty in discerning the reality of it. So there may be a lot of rumors spreading around, there may be a lot of people being like, oh, I saw this or I experienced that, whether it has to do directly with Area 51 or not. This Jupiter-Neptune square is much more slow-moving aspect, and it will have been building for a while, but it actually perfects literally just about a day following this Area 51 event on September 20th, if there will be an event. So I think that's very interesting. You want to talk about a sort of the idea of like a delusional belief, like the delusional belief that one actually could storm Area 51. That's pure Jupiter square Neptune. Jupiter is all about belief and Neptune's about delusion. So there you go. But anyway, let's see. I guess that's about it for the astrology. I mean, stuff like this we could probably talk about forever, but we don't need to. Oh, wait, actually, no, there's one more thing I should probably mention about that. So I've talked a lot about this on my some of my astrology streams that I've done that you can still see on my channel, but the ongoing Saturn-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn, which will perfect in January of 2020. This happens every 30-some years, and it's quite the ominous conjunction because it's two of the so-called bad planets, quote-unquote bad planets meeting up with each other. And historically, conjunctions as well as oppositions between them have marked, the onset of wars and disasters like that, or like disastrous situations or whatever on a global scale. Well, it's interesting to consider that once we reach September 20th, the day of this event, this Area 51 event, we will be only like 3.5, less than 4 months away from the perfecting of this Saturn-Pluto conjunction. So, I'm not interested in being a doomsayer because, I've heard so many doomsayers over the years saying, we're all going to die from this, that, or whatever, and then it never happens. But I will just say it's interesting, and I wonder if, I hope that there's not going to be some kind of disaster if people say like thousands of people actually did try to literally physically storm Area 51, because they're delusional and thinking they can get in, they're going to Naruto run or whatever. But if there was that kind of disaster, that would be just the kind of disaster that would fit a Saturn-Pluto conjunction. And also historically what we've seen with Saturn-Pluto conjunctions and oppositions. So it's interesting that energy is building, and it's going to perfect literally just months from this event. So I hope it's not like a disaster, but regardless, I've got to throw that out there as a possibility as part of my analysis of things, my astrological analysis. But anyway, enough about that. Let's see. I'm just going to check on the status of the stream real quick. Then we shall proceed. Can't believe this stream is still monetized. All right, so where shall we go next? I say we look up another article about Area 51. And then maybe after that, we might have to call it a night. I'm not sure yet. Let's see. Let's just see. Storming Area 51 on September 20th. Here's why you're unlikely to find aliens hiding in the desert. Okay. Yeah, I hate to break it to people, but I think the word is, from what I've heard, apparently if there is anything, or if there ever was anything secretive to be found in Area 51 of any great significance, it's probably already been moved to another location. But let's see what we have here. Seth Shostak. Storming Area 51 on September 20th. Here's why you're unlikely to find aliens hiding in the desert. The search for extraterrestrial life has long been a fixture of American pop culture, but lately, it seems like the conspiracy theorists have been getting a little bit louder. Here's a statue of an alien. And it says, an alien-like statue welcomes guests to the Little Ailey Inn restaurant and gift shop on July 22nd, 2019 in Raquel, Nevada. More than 1 million people say, at least online, they want to scale the fences and storm Area 51, a top-secret Air Force installation in the Nevada desert. Their stated hope is to see the aliens who for decades have been rumored to be warehoused within. The blitz is scheduled for September 20th, so mark your calendars. Or not. The idea for this effort was birthed on Facebook, and it was clearly intended as a joke, but so was Johnny Carson's 1973 claim that the US was running out of toilet paper, an offhand attempt at humor that triggered a real shortage. So joke or no, the hordes might really show up at the closely guarded federal facility, a poor decision according to authorities. Bookmaker, an internet betting site, is already weighing the odds of a tsunami of citizens storming the chain links and, if they do, the chances that they'll find any aliens mothballed inside. It's all good fun, unless perhaps you're in charge of security for the Air Force, but should you go? It's all good fun, but should you go? And really, is there any reason to believe that extraterrestrials are stacked up at Area 51? The search for extraterrestrial life has long been a fixture of American pop culture, immortalized in television shows like The X-Files and movies such as E.T., Independence Day, and Arrival, among many others. These examples speak to a widespread sentiment that has long bubbled beneath the surface, but lately, it seems like the conspiracy theorists have been getting a little bit louder. The media has devoted a lot of space to speculation about various space objects, for example, with reporters and scientists alike wondering if, for example, the mysterious object Oumuamua, I don't know how the hell to say that, was an asteroid, a comet, quote, or an alien spaceship, end quote. Which brings us back to Area 51. The Air Force says a citizen assault would be, quote-unquote, dangerous. a description perfectly chosen to encourage those who believe that what goes on at this hush-hush base is both suspect and probably malevolent. Signs posted around Area 51 somberly note that trespassing will be dealt with harshly, and that deadly force is authorized, as if you'd care whether or not it's authorized when they winch your body out of the sagebrush. Of course, secret things do go on at Area 51. The testing of new military aircraft, for instance. The Air Force is not keen on people taking photos, so trying to scale the Area 51's ramparts is about as advisable as storming Fort Knox. And even if camo-clad guards aren't enough to dissuade you, there's always the desert itself. Daytime temperatures, even in late September, hover around a sweaty 90 degrees. Refreshments will be hard to find, and the expected crush of people will more or less guarantee you'll be sleeping in your car or under a creosote bush. Don't know how to say that. Okay, but maybe you're thinking that revealing humanity's contact with aliens would be worth the discomfort, which, indeed, it would. And internet jests aside, a lot of people in the so-called UFO community seem convinced that the federal government really keeps evidence of extraterrestrial visitors, dead or alive, somewhere. Surveys show that 1/3 of the American public is convinced that aliens are visiting Earth, and a majority say that the government keeps information about these being secret. What is the sun doing to my camera right now? There we go. However, crashed saucers or broken bodies aren't on display at the Smithsonian or Roswell's UFO Museum. This lack of obvious evidence encourages true believers to claim that federal authorities are the only people with the technological capabilities to gather alien artifacts. And of all the places they could squirrel away with this evidence, they've chosen southern Nevada. The hell, the sun's still... What do I have to do to fix this issue? Okay. Well, you can literally see my microphone, I think, right now. Is that what that is? Yep. Okay. Frankly, this is a poor argument. Wayfaring aliens are unlike new missiles or Mach 3 fighter jets. Alien spacecraft would, one presumes, be routinely noticed by many of the billions of people who are not employed by the US military, nearly all of whom have cell phones with cameras. Sure, the recently released videos made by some Navy pilots are suggestively mysterious, but they're also ambiguous. And what about the around 100,000 commercial flights that take off every day, apparently without the slightest concern with or notice of extraterrestrial craft? Does the International Airline Pilots Association offer training on how to deal with aliens in our airspace? Interesting. It beggars belief to think that the many, many employees and contractors who've worked at Area 51 in the 7 decades since the celebrated Roswell incident have been capable of keeping news of stockpiled aliens under wraps. Perhaps most importantly, however, is the fact that humans are weak and susceptible to all sorts of pressure and enticements. And then it repeats the sentence that I just read. Despite the fact that it would be the biggest story ever. The oft-repeated argument that secrecy is necessary in order to avoid panicking the populace doesn't wash. Folks already believe ET is here, and they still go to the office every morning. Let's see. Maybe now I can move the camera closer and it'll work. The sun keeps shifting positions, so I have to as well. Either that or there are aliens outside my window. If nothing else, the suggested blitz of Area 51 demonstrates Nevada's continuing success in cornering the alien market. In 1996, state officials christened Route 375 as the extraterrestrial highway. This 100-mile stretch of straightaway, which parallels the northern border of Area 51, might have qualified as the world's most boring 2-hour drive if it weren't for the fact that some people have seen strange objects in the sky while en route. It's also noteworthy that the Nevada Commission on Tourism, which promoted the highway rebranding, didn't point to the fact that, 3 years earlier, State Senator Richard Bryan had introduced an amendment to cancel the NASA project to search for radio signals from extraterrestrial intelligence. But then again, those aliens would have been light years away and of little benefit to the Nevada economy. As for Area 51, the truth may not be out there, but some high speed aircraft and a lot of prickly pear probably are. Interesting. That concludes that article. Maybe I should just start a podcast. Maybe that would be more interesting, hear like a sort of discourse about these things. But I don't know. I need someone to do a podcast with, I guess, if I were to do that. Let's see what popularmechanics.com has to say about it. The real story behind the myth of Area 51. There are no aliens at America's most famous top secret military base, but what is there is just as interesting, by Matt Blitz. No aliens there. I mean, clearly, that's just what they want us to believe. And if we Naruto run, we will prove it. For decades, Nevada's Area 51 Air Force facility has represented the eye of a conspiratorial hurricane that swirls around quote-unquote evidence that aliens and their technology exist and are hiding behind its walls. Books, TV shows, and even massive online quote-unquote raids have tried to glimpse beyond its stark signs warning against trespassers. While aliens aren't taking up residence in the compound, what is going on there is just as interesting. All right, it's getting warmer and warmer in here. In the middle of the barren Nevada desert, there's a dusty, unmarked road that leads to the front gate of Area 51. It's protected by little more than a chain-link fence, a boom gate, and intimidating trespassing signs. One would think that America's much mythicized top-secret military base would be under closer guard, but make no mistake, they are watching. Beyond the gate, cameras see every angle. On the distant hilltop, there's a white pickup truck with a tinted windshield peering down on everything below. Locals say the base knows every desert tortoise and jackrabbit that hops the fence. Others claim there are embedded sensors in the approaching road. What exactly goes on inside of Area 51 has led to decades of wild speculation. There are, of course, the alien conspiracies that galactic visitors are tucked away somewhere inside. One of the more colorful rumors insists the infamous 1947 Roswell crash was actually a Soviet aircraft piloted by mutated midgets, and the wreckage remains on the grounds of Area 51. Some even believe that the US government filmed the 1969 moon landing in one of the base's hangars. For all the myths and legends, what's true is that Area 51 is real and still very active. There may not be aliens or a moon landing movie set inside those fences, but something is going on, and only a select few are privy to what's happening further down that closely monitored, windswept Nevada road. Quote, "The forbidden aspect of Area 51 is what makes people want to know what's there," says aerospace historian and author Peter Merlin, who's been researching Area 51 for more than 3 decades. Quote, "And there sure is still a lot going on there," end quote. Hang on. I can turn that down even more just in case. The origins of a mystery. Need some water. The beginning of Area 51 is directly related to the development of the U-2 reconnaissance aircraft. After World War II, the Soviet Union lowered the Iron Curtain around themselves and the rest of the Eastern Bloc, creating a near intelligence blackout to the rest of the world. When the Soviets backed North Korea's invasion of South Korea in June 1950, it became increasingly clear that the Kremlin would aggressively expand its influence. America worried about the USSR's technology, intentions, and ability to launch a surprise attack, only a decade removed from the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. In the early 1950s, U.S. Navy and Air Force sent low-flying aircraft on reconnaissance missions over the USSR, but they were at constant risk of being shot down. In November 1954, President Eisenhower approved the secret development of a high-altitude reconnaissance aircraft called the U-2 program. One of the first orders of business was to track down a remote, covert location for training and testing. They found it in the southern Nevada desert near a salt flat known as Groom Lake, which had once been a World War II aerial gunnery range for Army Air Corps pilots. Known by its map designation as Area 51, this middle-of-nowhere site became a new top-secret military base. To convince workers to come, Kelly Johnson, one of the leading engineers of the U-2 project, gave it a more enticing name, Paradise Ranch. Making a myth. U-2 testing began in July 1955, and immediately reports came flooding in about unidentified flying object sightings. If you read the details in a 1992 CIA report that was declassified with redactions in 1998 and subsequently released nearly in full in 2013, it's easy to see why. Many of these sightings were observed by commercial airline pilots who had never seen an aircraft fly at such high altitudes as the U-2. Whereas today's airliners can soar as high as 45,000 feet, in the mid-1950s, airlines flew at altitudes between 10,000 and 20,000 feet. Known military aircraft could get up to 40,000 feet, and some believed manned flight couldn't go any higher than that. The U-2, flying at altitudes in excess of 60,000 feet, would have looked completely alien. Naturally, Air Force officials knew the majority of these unexplained sightings were U-2 tests, but they were not allowed to reveal these details to the public. So, quote-unquote, natural phenomena, or high-altitude weather research, became go-to explanations for UFO sightings, including in 1960 when Gary Powers' U-2 was shot down over Russia. What's also interesting about the most recent 2013 report is that it confirms Area 51's existence. While the 1998 version does have significant redactions when referencing the name and location of the U-2 test site, the nearly unredacted version from 2013 reveals much more, including multiple references to Area 51, Groom Lake, and even a map of the area. You know, this is kind of funny to mention, just before I forget real quick. This is like far out, but so I was actually listening to Ghostly Talk, one of the podcasts I listened to right before doing this stream while I was getting ready for it. And on this recent episode, they were talking about a number of things, and this whole storm Area 51 thing came up. And one of the people there, I think his name's Chris, not one of the normal hosts, but sort of a guest for the night who was filling in for another guest, I guess. He said something like the conspiracy theorist part of him almost kind of sort of can't help but wonder if, with how fast this Area 51 thing took off, if this wasn't like something to distract people from something else going on. Now, I'm not saying that I agree with that. I don't typically think that way, or I try to not let myself think that way too much. But just for those of you out there who find that fascinating, who are interested in sort of the more conspiracy theory side of it, there you go. Is it a diversion? Is it a distraction from something that they don't want us to focus upon? I don't know. Guess you'll have to make up your own mind about that. Oh, boy. I am just depleted right now. This is the last day I pushed myself super hard. Jeez. This is Earth technology. U-2 operations halted in the late 1950s, but other top-secret military aircrafts continued tests at Area 51. Over the years, the A-12 and numerous stealth aircrafts like Bird of Prey, F-117A, and Tacit Blue have all been developed and tested in the Nevada desert. More declassified documents reveal Area 51's role in Project Have Donut, a 1970s attempt to study covertly obtained Soviet MiGs. They flew, this is in quotes, they flew them, brackets, over Area 51, and pitted our own fighters against them to develop tactics, says Merlin. They learned that you can't outturn it, but you can outrun it, and it's still going on today. Now, instead of seeing MiG-17s and 21s, there's MiG-29s and Su-27s, end quote. The flights are ongoing. In September 2017, an Air Force lieutenant colonel was killed under mysterious circumstances when his plane crashed in Nevada and the Pentagon would not immediately ID the aircraft. It seems he was most likely flying a foreign jet obtained by the United States. Even so, the alien conspiracies gained ground in 1989 when Bob Lazar claimed in an interview on Las Vegas local news that he'd seen aliens and had helped to reverse engineer alien spacecrafts while working at the base. Many have disregarded this as fiction and are even offended at the notion, including Merlin, who has spent years talking with former Area 51 engineers and employees angered by all the fuss about ET. Quote, some are even mad because they worked on these things and built these amazing planes, Merlin says. This is Earth technology. You got folks claiming it's extraterrestrial when it's really good old American know-how, end quote. The truth is out there. Today, Area 51 is still very much in use. According to Google Earth, new construction and expansions are continuously happening. On most early mornings, eagle-eyed visitors can spot strange lights in the sky moving up and down. No, it's not a UFO. It's actually the semi-secret contract commuter airline using the call sign Janet that transports workers from Las Vegas McCarran Airport to the base. As for what's happening these days in America's most secretive military base, few know for sure. Merlin has some educated guesses, including improved stealth technology, advanced weapons, electronic warfare systems, and, in particular, unmanned aerial vehicles. Chris Pocock, noted U-2 historian and author of several books about the matter, told Popular Mechanics he thinks classified aircraft, more exotic forms of radio communication, directed energy weapons, and lasers are currently under development at the base. While the lore around Area 51 may be nothing more than imaginative fiction, that won't stop people from gawking just beyond those chain-link fences. Quote, at the most basic level, anytime you have something secret or forbidden, it's human nature, says Merlin. You want to find out what it is. How to explore Area 51. Don't, I think would be the answer to that. Fact or fiction, aliens are a big tourism draw. In 1996, the state of Nevada renamed Route 375 as the Extraterrestrial Highway, and destinations such as the Alien Research Center and the Little Ailey Inn in the town of Raquel, with a population around 54, dot the road. To Area 51's west, there's the Alien Cat House, which is advertised as the only alien-themed brothel in the world. Geocaching also attracts visitors here since the highway is considered a mega trail with over 2,000 geocaches hidden in the area. Then there's the actual base. While getting inside is not in the cards for most, curious civilians can actually drive up to the front and back gates. Excuse me. Locals will direct you, and the website Dreamland Resort is a great resource full of maps, driving directions, and first-hand accounts. However, one should be careful when planning to trek to Area 51. It's the desert, after all, so bring plenty of water, snacks, and have proper weather gear for the hot days and the cold nights. Phone service and GPS probably won't work, so have printouts and actual maps. Gas stations are few and far in between, so carry spare fuel and tires. Also, remember the government doesn't really want you peering into Area 51. Both Merlin and Pocock confirmed that they have been closely observed or even intimidated by guards and security, including an F-16 flyby. Do not trespass under any circumstances, or arrests and heavy fines await you. Wow, there you go. Well, one thing that is prepared for the Area 51 Nevada desert: succulents. If you know anything about succulents or own them yourself, you probably know, as I do, that they are literally built to withstand, well, many varieties, not all, depends on which variety, I guess the cold hardy succulents or whatever. They are typically desert plants themselves that can withstand the hot days, the super hot days, and the freezing cold nights. So maybe go out there and see the succulents. I don't know. I think I'm so tired right now, I'm becoming delirious. So anyway, well, I see we've been going for 2 hours and 16 minutes. It's nearly 7:30 here. So I was going to have to get off soon anyway, and that was the end of that article. So I think that's going to be it for now. So thanks for being here, those who have been here. And thank you for those who watch this when it is not live. I much appreciate it. Here, I'm just going to check on the status of the stream one more time real quick. Okay. Yeah, it's been interesting stuff. Please do not, for fuck's sakes, attempt to enter Area 51 or any other restricted areas. I mean, this is a military installation, they don't care about your memes and shit. They will shoot you down, or at the very least, give you a heavy fine or arrest. So yeah, don't do that. I mean, if you insist on going out there, I don't know, go to the festivals that are sort of outside of the unauthorized zones, that are outside of Area 51. Don't enter the unauthorized territory, please. I mean, for fuck's sakes. And anyway, other than that, this has been a fairly fascinating stream. I will be back on Monday, most likely, almost certainly, for another Seth stream. And then on Wednesday, hopefully anyway, doing more live tarot readings. I wasn't able to do that this past Wednesday. I actually tried to do it on Thursday, but my internet cut out. And I tried to stream like 3 different times, I think, at least three different times in a row, and the internet cut out each time. So yeah, I was determined to make that stream happen, and it didn't happen, which really fucking pissed me off. And I think Comcast owes me missed wages. Comcast owes me like $20, $30, $40, $50. So Comcast, if you hear this, you better fucking pay me. I missed out on that because of you. But hopefully we don't encounter any such technical difficulties this Wednesday. After all, Mercury was retrograde this past Wednesday and Thursday. And it's, I believe, actually does go direct on the 31st, this Wednesday, when I'll be doing a stream like that again. So hopefully that works. But I guess we'll just have to see. Damon, have a good night. Thank you for an intriguing stream. Well, thank you, Damon, for being here. One of my favorite people. And you have a good night as well. And you're very welcome. And all right, that's about it for now. Thanks again, everyone. And please, for the love of the gods, stay out of Area 51. Thanks for watching.